In this episode, we talk about the human metapneumovirus and its cases that have surfaced in India. We also talk about Maldives Defense Minister Mohammed Ghassan Maumoon's visit to India. But first, we talk about the farmers' protest. Hi, I am Niharika Nanda, and you are listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. As the farmers' protest continues for a minimum support price among other demands, today marks the 44th day of the Samyukt Kisan Morcha non-political's convener Jagjit Singh Daliwal's fast unto death. He says that as the leader of the organization, it's his responsibility to take care of his family, the farmers.
आपका अनशन जारी रहेगा नंबर 1 पे।
हाँ, ये देखिए हमारी तो एक जिम्मेदारी बनती है। मैं अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का प्रेसिडेंट होने के साथ साथ मैं एसकेएम नॉन पॉलिटिकल का भी कन्वीनर हूँ। तो अगर मैं पूरे देश के इतने बड़े संगठन का कन्वीनर हूँ तो जो परिवार का मुखी होता है ना जी, उसके पास ये उसके ऊपर ये एक जिम्मेदारी होती है कि वो अपने परिवार के ऊपर किसी तरह की भी कोई मुश्किल आती है तो उस मुश्किल को पहले उस जिम्मेवार ने परिवार के मुखी ने अपने पर लेना होता है। तो उसी हिसाब से मैं अपने पर ले रहा हूँ।
However, the Samyukt Kisan Morcha refused to meet a high-powered committee set up by the Supreme Court to look into their demands. On 4th of January, Bharati Kisan Union Ugrahan did the same. To understand the current situation on the Khanauri and the Shambhu border and why the farmers' organizations refused to meet the committee, we have the Indian Express's Kanchan Vasdev joining us. Kanchan, to begin with, can you tell us what is the current situation at the Khanauri and the Shambhu border?
Harika, the situation is quite tense with farmers' leader Jagjit Singh Daliwal being on fast unto death. His fast entered 43rd day on Tuesday. His health condition deteriorated on Monday evening itself as he collapsed and he had very low blood pressure. The doctors had to keep his legs elevated, just to make sure that the blood pressure is normal. But he's adamant that he will not call off the strike till the center accedes to his demands. So if something happens to him, then there could be unrest in Punjab as emotions can run high. The farmers, they have been sitting on dharna since February last year and they have tried to walk to Delhi through the borders several times, but Haryana police has not allowed that. So that kind of deadlock is persisting.
Right. And for our listeners, can you tell us what have been the farmers' demands?
They have got quite a few demands. The most important one is like the MSP guarantee on all the crops. And they want the prices fixed as per the recommendations of Dr. Swaminathan Commission's report. Then they are also seeking a complete debt waiver for farmers and laborers. And another demand is reinstatement of the Land Acquisition Act, that it should be nationwide, and written consent from the farmers and 4-time compensation based on collector rates should be given before any land acquisition, which is, quite much. Then they are also seeking justice for the victims of October 2021 Lakhimpur Kheri violence and the punishment for the culprits. Then they are also saying that India should withdraw from the World Trade Organization and suspend all free trade agreements. Then they are also seeking pension for farmers and agriculture laborers. Then they are also seeking compensation for farmers who died during a protest at the Delhi borders during the 2020 farmers' protest. And they are saying that more than 750 farmers have died and Punjab government has given compensation to majority of the victim families. But other states are yet to give compensation to many. This is what they are saying. These are the major demands.
And Kanchan, tell us about this high-level committee that has been constituted by the Supreme Court.
Right. This committee was constituted by Supreme Court last year in September. And this is a 5-member committee led by retired Justice of Punjab and Haryana High Court, Nawab Singh. And there are other experts like noted agriculture expert Davinder Sharma. Then there is an economist in Punjab, Professor Ranjit Singh Ghuman, who's Professor of Eminence at Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Then it has Punjab Farmers Commission Chairperson Dr. Sukhpal Singh. Then there's a former DGP of Haryana, B.S. Sandhu. They are the members. And the Apex Court has asked the committee to reach out to the agitating farmers at the Shambhu border and Khanauri border and to impress upon them to immediately remove the tractor trolleys, tents and other accessories from near the national highway so as to enable the civil and police administration of both the states to open the national highway for the purposes. That is what the main mandate was.
And what did the Samyukt Kisan Morcha had to say about their refusal of meeting with this committee?
Yeah, they declined the invite of the committee. Actually, these people have been holding meetings, and after holding those meetings for amongst themselves, the farmer organizations, SKM leader Balbir Singh Rajewal stated that the SC panel's mandate is nothing to do with the demands of the farmers. He said that the High Power Committee had to work on providing a space to the agitating farmers at Khanauri and Shambhu borders, and the committee was still not able to do anything even after 3-4 months. And then they had decided not to be a part of the meeting on which was called on January 3rd, as they said that they feel it would harm the interests of the agitation underway. And then they're saying that they didn't want to be seen as participating in the panel's meeting when the level was on fast unto death and nothing was being done.
And coming back to the panel that has been constituted by the Supreme Court, what has been their mandate regarding this entire issue?
The SKM is saying that the mandate is just about talking to these farmers so that they can clear the blockade. As per the order of the Supreme Court, there is another mandate. I will just read out that order to you. This says that the judges, Justice Suryakant and Ujjwal Bhayan, they said that we hope and trust that one of the major demands of the agitating farmers regarding constitution of a neutral, high-powered committee have been accepted, and with the consent of both the states, they will immediately respond to the request of the high-power committee and vacate the Shambhu border or the other roads connecting the two states. But they're also saying that will also facilitate that it will also help study the problems of the rural farmers. This is what the mandate was.
And Kanchan, from what we understand, there has been a report that has already been given out by the committee. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the report was submitted on November 22nd, and the panel had listed the reasons behind the agrarian distress in the country. It said that there was stagnant yield, costs were rising, and the debt was also rising, and the marketing system was inadequate. The committee had also suggested solutions examining the possibility of giving legal sanctity to minimum support price, which is like the demand of the farmers. And in the report, it has said that the farming community in general and that of Punjab and Haryana in particular, they have been facing ever increases crisis for 2 decades. The yield is stagnated, like they are not experiencing any increase in the yield. And it also said that the debt on the farmers in Punjab was 73,000 crore, and Haryana it was even higher at 76,000 crore. And it had also stated that the farming community was struggling with a suicide epidemic. Over 4 lakh farmers and farm workers have committed suicide since 1995. This is what they said. And in Punjab, there were 16,000 suicides among the farmers and farm workers in 15 years. So this was the report, which looked at not just the morcha, but other problems being faced by the farmers also.
And Kanchan, now at this given point, how do we see things going forward? Do we see SKM going and meeting with the committee or not? Can you tell us about that?
Actually, the deadlock is continuing. And if the center does not call the farmers for a meeting, I think it will continue because Dallewal is not willing to budge at all. But, at stake now is his life. And the Supreme Court has already directed Punjab government several times to provide him medical aid, but he has been refusing. And the police always says that he's surrounded by around 2,000 farmers at any given point of time. And it's difficult to pick him up forcibly. And if they have to use force, then there will be bloodshed. Those people can attack the police and the police will have to open fire. So it's going to make the situation more complicated. But this deadlock will have to be ended somehow. And otherwise, there may be a loss of life. Now, Dallewal is there. He was not well last night. There was this alarm everywhere that don't know what will happen. So Punjab has been cautioning the center that, something should be done. Otherwise, tempers can flare up in the state, which is already sensitive. It's a border state, has tasted militancy in the past. So the ball is in center's court now, how they handle the situation.
Next, we talk about the human metapneumovirus or HMPV. After the news of respiratory infections caused by human metapneumovirus HMPV in China surfaced, at least 7 cases of the virus were detected during routine surveillance by the Indian Council of Medical Research or the ICMR's network of laboratories. The HMPV infection was first detected in a 3-month-old girl and an 8-month-old boy who were treated at the Baptist Hospital in Bengaluru. Both the children came in with symptoms of pneumonia. The girl has since been discharged and the boy is recovering. 2 cases were reported in Tamil Nadu, 2 in Maharashtra and 1 in Gujarat. To learn more about the virus, its symptoms, and how serious the situation is, we have the Indian Express's Anonna Dutt joining us. Anonna, to begin with, can you tell us about the HMPV virus and what its symptoms are?
So HMPV is human metapneumovirus. It is basically a virus that causes upper respiratory tract infection. So you would have, say, cough, cold, runny nose, sometimes fever. So it's one of the viruses that is known to, lead to these seasonal viral infections that we usually see. And for most people, this is like you might just get a bout and you will get better. But for very young children who are getting the infection for the very first time, or older people with weakened immune system, or people who have some, other condition that leads to a weak immune system might get more severe symptoms. They might end up with pneumonia, which is basically fluids in your lungs. So that can happen in some cases, but mostly it's a very common cold-like symptoms.
Right. And what do we know about the situation in China?
So we do not know for sure much about China. As far as I'm aware, there's no statement from any health agency there stating that there is any increase in cases. There were some social media posts that pointed out that there was an increase in hospitalization, after which we've just heard about that, oh yes, there's some surge, and that's about it. We do not know much about the situation that is there in China. However, this is the time when you would usually see an increase in respiratory infections. Winters is usually when every year most countries report an increase in influenza and other viruses causing these sore throats, and sometimes, of course, like I said, hospitalization in some patients.
Right. And what led to an increased vigilance in India as far as HMPV's cases are concerned?
So as far as this virus is concerned, it's not a threat of outbreak per se right now, because this is a virus that usually circulates in most countries across the world, leads to infections every season, and it gets tested sometimes in specialized laboratories. So there are some 28 laboratories under ICMR and some 12 laboratories under the Integrated Disease Surveillance Program, which routinely test for all the respiratory infections, just to maintain a vigil about what viruses or what pathogen is in circulation.
So was it through these regular surveillance checks that the initial two cases were detected?
So the two cases that were confirmed recently were also picked up during this routine surveillance. And this is something that has been happening for years now and will continue to happen. But the good thing is right now the data that we have for respiratory illnesses doesn't show an increase. And in fact, because it is the winter months, hospitals are usually anyway geared up towards some increase in these respiratory infections. So for now, that is what is maintained. However, there is a joint monitoring group that has been formed by the Health Ministry, and they will be taking regular updates from international agencies like World Health Organization on whether there is a surge anywhere else in the world, and take measures accordingly.
Right. So if we talk about the current situation, is it a cause for concern for India? And what precautions can be taken by people in order to protect themselves from this infection?
It is a virus which spreads through respiratory droplets. So, something similar to how seasonal flu happens or even COVID happened, which is, the droplets that are go out into the air when a person who is infected coughs or sneezes. These droplets can then infect people who are standing around them. It can also be caused through, surfaces. So, for example, if somebody leaves tissue that they've been using, or if someone coughs and these virus particles settle on a table and somebody else touches it, they can also get through these contacts as well. However, the means of protection or prevention remain the same as any respiratory illnesses. So the very best thing is to wash your hands regularly. You do not know what surfaces you have touched. So, washing the hand prevents the virus from entering the body through the eye, nose or mouth. That is one thing. Then people who have a weakened immune system can also mask up. People, again, those who are at a higher risk can avoid very crowded areas. And also for people who have common cold or like any symptoms of fever, sore throat, they should, refrain from going outdoors. They should remain restricted in their homes so that they do not spread the infection further. And of course, there is no specific treatment for this particular virus, but people who have fever may take, medicines like paracetamol. However, since it's a viral infection, doctors say that you should not take any antibiotics. And if you do not feel better in a couple of days, then you should go to a doctor and consult them.
And in the end, we talk about the relationship between India and Maldives. Nearly 8 months after New Delhi completed pulling out its military personnel from Maldives, the island nation's Defence Minister Mohammed Ghassan Maumoon will pay a 3-day visit to India starting today to strengthen military ties amid a thaw in the overall relations between the two countries. Maumoon will hold wide-ranging talks with Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, besides meeting several senior officials in the national capital. India had withdrawn its around 80 military personnel stationed in the Indian Ocean archipelago following a demand by its pro-China president Mohammed Ghassan. The Indian military personnel were in Maldives to maintain and operate 2 military platforms. They were replaced by Indian civilian staff. The overall episode had significantly frayed the ties between the two nations. The Defence Ministry has said, quote, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will hold a bilateral meeting with the Defence Minister of Maldives, Mohammed Ghassan Maumoon, in New Delhi on January 8. Unquote. It's said that the two ministers will review the various facets of bilateral defence cooperation, including training, exercises and defence projects to enhance the capability of the Maldives National Defence Forces, as well as the supply of defence equipment. The ministry further added, quote, both nations are key players in maintaining the safety and security of IOR, thus contributing to India's vision of security and growth for all in the region. SAGAR. Unquote. The Maldivian Defence Minister will also visit Goa and Mumbai. His visit comes days after Maldivian Foreign Minister Abdullah Khalil visited India and held wide-ranging talks with External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. In the meeting held on 3rd January, Jaishankar described the Maldives as a very concrete expression of India's neighbourhood first policy and said that New Delhi has always stood by the island nation. The ties between India and Maldives came under strain after Muizu, known for his pro-China leanings, took charge of the top office in November 2023. Within hours of his oath, he demanded the withdrawal of Indian military personnel from his country. Subsequently, the Indian military personnel were replaced by civilians. There was a thaw in the relations as Muizu vowed to boost the bilateral ties with India during his visit to Delhi in October.
You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar and produced by me, Niharika Nanda. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can also tweet us at Express Audio and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.